All right. Let's look at verses 5 through 13. It says, when Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. Lord, he said, my servant lies at home, paralyzed, suffering terribly. Jesus said to him, shall I come and heal him? The centurion replied, Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. I say to my servant, do this, and he does it. When Jesus heard this, he was amazed and said to those following him, truly I tell you, I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their places at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then Jesus said to the centurion, go, let it be done just as you believed it would, and his servant was healed at that moment. So this is miracle number 2 we're going to look at, okay? A Roman centurion was a Roman soldier who commanded about 100 soldiers. The word that Matthew uses here indicates that the servant is probably a young child. Okay? Luke calls it a servant or a slave. The actual word in Matthew means a small child. So this is probably a child that had been born to one of the centurion's servants. But the centurion, for some reason, the centurion's heart goes out to this little one, and he loves this little one. Okay? And we don't know what caused the paralysis, but it is causing terrible suffering for this little servant, this little slave. What in this episode tells you the centurion had strong faith? He believes Jesus can heal with just a word. Like he said, I have authority over men. They do what I tell you. You just say the word and it'll happen, Jesus, right? Yeah. Well, part of it here is a Roman soldier calling a Jew Lord. Right? I mean, if you think of what the political structure was in the world back then, the word Lord is a term of submission. It's a term of superiority. And for a Roman to say that to a Jew wouldn't typically happen. And he says, I don't deserve to have you under my roof. Again, that's a statement of humility by this Roman when he's speaking to Jesus. Well, then Jesus really turns things on their head, starting in verse 10. He taps into this Jewish belief that when the Messiah comes and makes things right and establishes the kingdom of God, God's kingdom, they believed that Jews would come from all over and sit down to a never-ending feast of celebration. Okay, in the Jewish writings, they would actually talk about how what they would eat at these feasts were behemoths. You know, these huge animals, the idea being they'd never run out of food. Okay? So this is the Jewish idea that when God's kingdom is established, Jews will come from all over and just enjoy this wonderful, wonderful feast. And the Jews thought that it would be a feast for the Jews without Gentiles. But in this context, Jesus turns that around. And he seems to be saying that many people, Jews and Gentiles, will come from all over the world and enjoy the banquet, and that what gives them entrance is the kind of faith that this Roman centurion demonstrates. You don't get into this banquet just because you're a Jew. Get into this banquet because you have this man's kind of faith, is what Jesus is saying. And Jesus says that those who don't have that kind of faith will be thrown outside, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So what kind of reaction do you think this got from the crowd following Jesus? Some probably thought Jesus was off his rocker. Who are you to tell us that the Jews that we don't have a special place? Who are you to tell us that Gentiles are going to come and be a part of that too? And then Jesus told the centurion that the child was healed. And he was healed at that very moment, right?